Hey guys, thank you so much for tuning in today. I have quite the story to go into, but it's been a little difficult for me to actually come to recording this because it's so many moving parts for this story. So I'm kind of just going to tell you guys what I found and then dive deeper into it, okay? So essentially, I was looking at old maps and I found California depicted as its own island, separated from the United States by a Red Sea, right? Which of course made me think, oh my gosh, does this tie to the story of Moses from the book of Exodus parting the Red Sea, right? So as I'm looking into this research to see, okay, did Moses part this Red Sea of California perhaps? I'm doing a little bit more digging and I come across the Testament of Solomon, which I was researching into, is apparently the story which depicts King Solomon having some exchange back and forth with demons, and some demon he's talking to says to him, hey, I was there when Moses parted the Red Sea. I was there and I hardened Pharaoh's heart. Right? So I'm like, okay, we have some demon that says he was at the Red Sea. Was it in California? And I'm looking at this Red Sea and these maps, and I'm seeing that there's these islands, these uninhabited islands in the middle of the Red Sea of California. And there's one called Archangel Island. And so I'm trying to connect the dots here that could Moses have parted this Red Sea of California? And is there a fallen angel entity, some demon that is really imprisoned underneath the sea? So please bear with me, guys. I'm going to be hopping around a little bit, but a really interesting story I got for y'all today. I have come across some really interesting things, some interesting findings. So we're going to go into a little bit about the book of Exodus, and then we're going to go into this Testament of Solomon, and then we're going to learn about California and what's that all about. So now that I've kind of given you guys an overarching idea of what this episode's going to be about, now we're going to actually jump into the episode that I have prepared for you. So I hope you guys enjoy and are strapped in for the ride, because it's going to be a ride. So could it actually be that this Exodus story of Moses leading the Israelites out of Egyptian captivity towards this Red Sea, could the sea that he had parted actually been this Red Sea of California?
Moses, chosen by God, confronted Pharaoh to demand the release of the Israelites from slavery in Egypt. After a series of divine plagues, Pharaoh finally relented, allowing the Israelites to escape. Led by Moses, they journeyed towards the Promised Land. As they approached the Red Sea, fear gripped the people when they saw Pharaoh's army in pursuit. Moses raised his staff, and with divine power, the waters parted, creating a path to freedom. They crossed on dry ground, watching as the sea closed upon their enemies.
I can't make this stuff up, guys. I gotta tell you, I was looking into old maps, and I came across these old maps of California as its own island away from the United States and separated by a Red Sea, or a Mar Vermilion is what it's called, which translates to Sea of Red, because vermilion is a pigment of the color red. And in Latin, vermilion actually means worm. So it could be like Sea of Worms or Sea of Red. Now we call it the Gulf of California. So I'm going to take you through this research that I've found, and it just makes you wonder, why was California once depicted as an island with a Red Sea in the midst of it? You know, California is known for their redwoods or their red rock or their red forest. There's something about red and California being kind of known for that, right? So it's not that far off that they had this Red Sea, right? It just really makes you wonder, does this tie to the biblical story of Moses? And apparently there's a story that there's a fallen angel or a demon that is bound and imprisoned underneath this Red Sea, right? And that ties to this Exodus story of Moses. But as I'm looking at these old maps of California with this Red Sea, I'm like, okay, let me look at this Red Sea. And I see that there's these islands in the middle of this Red Sea, and one of them's called Archangel Island. And I'm thinking, oh my gosh, could there really be some fallen angel in this Red Sea as the myths and stories have passed down, right? Because if we go back to the text of the book of Exodus, the Hebrew reads that the Red Sea is called, they translate it to Yam Soph, okay? Which in Hebrew translates to Sea of Reeds. However, when these stories were written, we will never know how these words were actually spoken or sounded. We will never know the original text or how it was written. We will never really know. So I'm just trying to connect the dots here, and I'm seeing that there's a Red Sea in the middle of California, the United States, separating them. There's a lot of things in California which are called red. There's some myth about some fallen angel or demon in the Red Sea, or underneath the Red Sea. There's an uninhabited island in the middle of this Red Sea called Archangel Island. California is known for Los Angeles, which is the city of angels. It really makes you pause and wonder. Guys, get this as well. So there's a Mount Moses in California. And as I'm looking around on Google Earth at this Mount Moses, I'm noticing that it's not far from Death Valley, which then I started thinking about, okay, well, there's a psalm that says, as I walk through the valley of the shadow of death, I will fear no evil, for you are with me. Your rod and your staff, they comfort me. And Moses carried a rod or a staff. So it's smoking guns that are just making me wonder, why is there a Red Sea of California? Why are there myths or stories of a fallen angel being imprisoned under a Red Sea? Why is there an uninhabited island called Archangel Island in the middle of this Red Sea, and also in Isles of Gigante? Why is California known for everything, being red? It's the city of angels. So as I'm coming across and doing more research into this whole theme of the story of Exodus and the Red Sea and California and old maps, I come across this black demon that is supposedly a myth or story, that there's a black demon in the Red Sea, right? And which leads me to the Testament of Solomon.
Nothing is more powerful than God.
You have answered well, Suleiman, but I have yet to truly test your wisdom. I move without legs and I am heard without a voice. You are indeed wise, but tell me this, Suleiman, what is more powerful than God, more evil than the devil? The poor have it, the rich need it, and if you eat it, you'll die.
So get this. This is what it reads. It says, "And I, Solomon, questioned the other spirit which came up with the pillar from the depth of the Red Sea. And I asked him, Who art thou? And the demon goes, I, King Solomon, am called Abezthibou. I am a descendant of the archangel. I am a fierce spirit and winged, with one wing, plotting against every spirit under heaven. I was present when Moses went in before Pharaoh, king of Egypt, and I hardened his heart. I am he who Jannes and Jambres invoked, homing with Moses in Egypt. I am he who fought against Moses with wonders and signs."
I, therefore, having heard this, glorified the Lord God, and again I questioned the demon, saying,
Solomon asked him, well, how are you found in the Red Sea? And the demon goes, "In the exodus of the sons of Israel, I hardened the heart of Pharaoh, and I excited his heart and that of his ministers, and I caused them to pursue after the children of Israel. I was present there, and we followed together, and we all came upon the Red Sea. And it came to pass when the children of Israel had crossed over, the water returned and hid all of the host of the Egyptians and all their might. And I remained in the sea, being kept under this pillar." So essentially, I come across this Testament of Solomon text, which has this exchange between King Solomon and some demon stuck or, bound in the Red Sea. And that he was there during the story of Exodus when Moses and Aaron took their magic rods over to Pharaoh's palace and said, time to let my people go. And Pharaoh goes, "Magicians of Egypt, come forth. Can you too make your rods serpents?" And you have this, magician off going on between Moses and Aaron and the magicians of Egypt before Pharaoh had let the slaves go. And now I come across this text that says that there was a demon that says, I was there. I was the one that gave these magicians the works and their signs. I can't make this shit up, guys. I hope this makes sense. That I come across old maps of California as an island with a Red Sea. In the middle of this Red Sea is an Archangel Island. There's a Testament of Solomon, which goes into a totally independent story about how there's a demon or fallen angel with one wing that was bound to this Red Sea, and that was the one that hardened Pharaoh's heart, and the one that said, go after them, and the one that gave the magicians of Egypt, or the pagan magicians, their powers. So, also, guys, get this. I found another old map of this Archangel Island, which shows like all of these boulders or whatnot around it. And I looked up what it was. It's called a Ballenas Fault, right? And so get this. It's a fault line, apparently, that separates this Archangel Island from the Baja California Peninsula. So like that bottom corner of California that is not an island anymore, they call that a peninsula, something that's surrounded by water on three sides, but not completely, right? So if you look at a picture of a fault, it looks like it's just a giant trench. So I'm adding up things and I'm just asking questions here. There seems to be some correlation here between some Red Sea, perhaps. And not just that, guys. Look what I just came across. So I'm Googling, the black demon that's in the Red Sea or whatnot. And what pops up is the black demon, and it's some movie of like, I guess a megalodon shark, those huge sharks that they do those movies with, right? Guess where it takes place? In the Baja California area. Apparently, in this Baja California area, they have already made a demon that is a megaloon shark that apparently comes in and just does demon stuff and ruins everyone's lives. But how freaking bizarre is this? There's a big uninhabited island in the middle of this Red Sea, which is apparently some fault line. And it really just makes you wonder, could there be really any truth to this? So yeah, I'm essentially saying that in this Red Sea of California, perhaps at this trench or fault line, perhaps there is a connection to the underworld or Sheol or some imprisonment of some entity or demon down there. And that's just what my research has been kind of stacking up and leading to, one after the next, which is another reason why it's kind of been hard for me to put this together and record it. And it's in a way that will come off making sense. So I'm sorry that it's a bit repetitive. And I'm just trying to make this make sense in the way that I've come across it. I could not believe I look up this black demon and find this megalodon shark black demon movie about some black demon that lives in the Baja California, Gulf of California now, which used to be the Red Sea. So what's really going on here, guys? What is going on? Guys, I can't make this up. I'm looking into this fault and what it is. And to me, it honestly just looks like a big trench, just a long trench. But there's a movie called San Andreas that has The Rock in it. But listen to this plot. I can't make this up. It says that there's a Caltech seismologist and they're at Hoover Dam to test a new earthquake prediction model when some nearby unknown fault ruptures, triggering a mass earthquake that, one, collapses the dam, and then two, they discover that the San Andreas Fault is going to start shifting, which will set off some chain reaction of massive earthquakes that will destroy any city situated on the fault. What? How is this reality, guys? How is this real life? I just want to make sure that we're understanding what's going on here. So Hollywood, which is in the city of Los Angeles, or city of angels, apparently in this state of California, which used to actually be an island separated by a Red Sea to the United States, has a fault in it. They also have a Death Valley. They have a Mount Moses. They have a Redwoods. They have a Red Sea. They have a gigantic island or isles. They have a big fault, which possibly is a big trench, which could be an imprisonment. You have literally declarations or testament from, I guess, entities or beings that state that they are bound to this Red Sea, or that there's a demon in this Red Sea. When I said I had that vision, or that I heard that song, Ring of Fire in my head, and was like thinking about the Pacific Ring of Fire, now it's making me think, oh my gosh, maybe that is what it is it's a massive fault or massive trench line, which can like set off earthquakes or something. I really don't know, guys. It's almost like, oh my gosh, stop finding things. They're all like, chill. But can you believe that? Of course they're at Hoover Dam. Remember, we were just talking about how Hoover Dam, there's something going on there, and there are these weird ceremonies. Oh my gosh, and there's a plaque. There's a plaque outside of Hoover Dam that has the name Abezthibou on it, which Abezthibou is kind of connected to either the Boots or the Draco constellation. But Abezthibou, the demon that is in the Testament of Solomon's name, is Abezthibou. Abezthibou. The last part is the same part, I think, guys. Oh my gosh, which means snake or serpent, and I'm sure a lot of other things. Wow. And so the last thing I kind of want to leave you guys with, I was looking into, okay, well, where does that word come from? Why is it called California, right? And what I found is, well, hold on. I'll let Whoopi Goldberg tell you.
Can I make an entrance or can I make an entrance? You don't have a clue who I am, do you? My name's Califia, as in California. You see, a long, long time ago, this Spanish writer dreamed of a land dripping with gold, with a ruler more beautiful, more exciting, and more fun than all the rest. Surprise! I was talking about myself, honey. I'm Califia, Queen of California. You know, I'm the spirit of this old place. So I can go around and push folks to go after their dreams, pick them up a little if they lose the faith. But you know something? The dream has always been here.
Yeah, so I guess this is at one of their California amusement parks, and you can go, or I guess you used to be able to go, and you can see the story of California and Queen Califia, who apparently was a pagan goddess ruler over an all-women and all-black island of California. I can't make this stuff up, right? And apparently they had a bunch of griffins, these flying animals that were armored in gold, and would fly around protecting them and guarding them. And they would snatch up all of the Christian men, is how the story goes, I guess, during the Second Crusade. And this island is getting, I guess, pushed to become Christian, and Queen Califia is their queen. And if you think about it, the word caliph, like caliphate, doesn't that mean like religious leader or female leader, right? And the word Cali means dark. It literally means dark. So does California literally mean like dark fornication? Or here's a quote from the Las Surgas de Esplandiana, which is the epic of where they depict this Queen Califia. And know then that on the right hand of the Indies, there's an island called California, very close to the side of the terrestrial paradise, and it was peopled by black women without any man among them, for they lived in the fashion of Amazons. They were of strong and hardy bodies, of ardent courage and great force. Their island was the strongest in all the world, with its steep cliffs and rocky shores. Their arms were of all gold, and so was the harness of the wild beasts which they tamed and rode, for in the whole island there was no metal but gold. Damn. And so I just find it interesting that as I'm looking into where this name California comes from, it shows me Queen Califia, this ruler of all black women, this pagan goddess, and how this was during the time where Muslims and Christians were kind of fighting during like some crusade war. And it's just odd. I mean, and also the word like Kali Yuga to say that we're in the dark ages, because the word Kali in different languages I found means dark or black. So, or I guess in Greek here it says it means beautiful. So I guess it could really mean in whatever you want it to mean. You know what I mean? It's like, what the fuck? But get this, guys. So it says that this term for California, it says that this term could derive from Old Spanish calit forne, an alteration of the Latin calida fornex, meaning hot furnace. It says that this theory may explain why there is a 1650 map of the island of California with the name having two words, California. It just sounds like dark fornication to me, if you ask me. That's what it sounds like. Some dark fornication going on there. So to close out, because the purpose of this episode was just to show you guys my research and what I've discovered and come across, and get your guys' opinion and what you guys think about it. But isn't that interesting that there's these old maps that show California as an island with a Red Sea, and there just happens to be a Mount Moses. You know, there happens to be the redwoods too of California. There's stories of some fallen angel that is under some Red Sea. There's an Archangel Island in the middle of the sea. In the Book of Enoch, they talk about how they bound and cast these fallen angels or fallen ones into the abyss or Sheol. And so it's interesting. It really makes you wonder, could these stories have happened, number one? And if they did, maybe they were a lot closer to home than we would have realized. It's just something to think about. It really makes you wonder. You know, another interesting thing while I'm on this, Moses subject is that Moses turned his rod into a snake, right? You guys ever notice what the emergency symbol is? I think it's called the rod of Asclepius or something. It's a rod with a snake around it. Isn't that the Moses and Aaron rod? Is it just a coincidence? There's an uninhabited island called Archangel Island, which apparently is separating California's Baja area from some fault, which just seems like it could be a trench down to the underworld. Trying to sound serious so that people can actually take me serious when I'm speaking, because I'm being actually serious, but it's very hard. We have California as the city, or has Los Angeles as the city of angels. Also, considering if Califia was this pagan goddess, it makes you wonder, could that have been some correlation to the ancient Egypt and what they practice with their pagan, gods and whatnot? Who actually really knows? That's what I'm saying, is it seems as though in this matrix world, or whatever world that we're in, that, or I don't want to call it a prism, I'll call it, right, with an M. It seems that it's literally they blasted in our faces with symbolism and just everything of where we are and what we're in, that we're in a prism. But I don't know, you got to have the eyes or mind to see it. What do you make of this? Because I don't know what to make of this. And it took me long enough to put this episode together piece by piece. So in closing, it really does just make you wonder, doesn't it? What is going on?